Our top stories this morning. President Joe Biden has delivered a stern warning to Russia that the US and its allies are prepared to respond if Russia invades Ukraine. He also cast doubt over Moscow's claims troops are withdrawing from the border. Sky News Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen spoke to Sky News a short time ago.
Russia says they're withdrawing and the world is watching sceptically at that claim, but also because the president in that statement said 150,000. Now, the latest briefings were that it was still staying steady around 100,000, even as late as today from the State Department. And so we're expecting some clarification in the White House press briefing shortly. But this was certainly, as you say, a stern warning from President Biden. He was coming across as very much commander-in-chief in this critical moment where the world is waiting to see if Russia is going to invade Ukraine. And he had this message in particular for the Russian people.
The world will not forget that Russia chose needless death and destruction. Invading Ukraine will prove to be a self-inflicted wound. The United States and our allies and partners will respond decisively. The West is united and galvanized. Today, our NATO allies and the alliance is as unified and determined as it has ever been.
In this around 11-minute address, he also said that they could expect long-term consequences if they do proceed with this invasion, because some of these sanctions will be quite seismic in their impact. But the other interesting aspect he responded to was around the potential for there to be repercussions in the US. He said again that there weren't going to be US troops sent to Ukraine, that they were giving military aid to Ukraine to defend itself and to NATO as well. But there could also be the flow-on effect, especially if the Nord Stream 2 pipeline becomes compromised, about increased energy costs and petrol costs across the United States.
I will not pretend this will be painless. There could be impact on our energy prices. So we are taking active steps to alleviate the pressure on our own energy markets and offset raising prices. We're coordinating with major energy consumers and producers. We're prepared to deploy all the tools and authority at our disposal to provide relief at the gas pump.
He also said that they are still trying to give diplomacy every chance they can. President Putin, in meeting with the German Chancellor, has also said that they are still open to diplomacy, but at the same time, there's reports of an increase of cyber attacks on Ukraine as even their troops are supposed to be withdrawing.
As for how Russia will act from now on, according to the plan, and how the plan will be made, according to the actual situation. Who can say how the actual situation will develop? Nobody so far. It depends not only on us, but we are going and will strive to agree with our partners on the questions we have raised by diplomatic means.
Ukraine's top diplomat to Australia, Volodymyr Slavitsky, spoke about the latest developments in Canberra a short time ago.
We are ready to continue negotiations and diplomatic talks with everyone who is involved. But though it's quite difficult to have diplomatic talks with Russia, since they do not propose direct conversation to Ukraine, we have to rely on our international partners, US, Germany, France, for conveying our messages to Moscow and vice versa. We will use every opportunity for negotiation that we will be given. But so far, the room for compromise was really small.
Joe Biden also said that the US hasn't yet verified that Russian troops are leaving and returning to their home bases. Have you received any information about whether or not those reports are true?
We prefer wait and see and get verified confirmation.
The States is warning a Russian invasion of Ukraine is still possible, despite Russia's claims that it's withdrawing some of its troops. US President Joe Biden has again called for a diplomatic solution to the crisis. North America correspondent Jade McMillan joins us now from Washington. Jade, g'day. So how seriously is the US taking Russia's announcement of this troop withdrawal?
Well, Joe Biden says he would welcome that move, that it would be a real sign of Russia being willing to de-escalate tensions here. But he warned that so far the US has not seen any evidence on the ground of that occurring, that it is yet to verify Russia's claims. Joe Biden argues that the US estimates there are still around 150,000 Russian troops split between near the border with Ukraine and also in Belarus. He described them as being in a threatening position, and he said that there is still a distinct possibility that Russia could attack. He again publicly urged Russian President Vladimir Putin not to do so. He repeated these warnings that we've been hearing for some time now of severe and unprecedented economic consequences. He also repeated his vow that if Russia does invade Ukraine, the US would prevent the Nord Stream 2 pipeline from going ahead, a project that is aimed at delivering large amounts of natural gas from Russia into Germany. And here is how the US president characterised the broader consequences of a Russian invasion.
The Russian defense minister reported today that some military units are leaving their positions near Ukraine. That would be good, but we have not yet verified that. We have not yet verified the Russian military units are returning to their home bases. Indeed, our analysts indicate that they remain very much in a threatening position. And the fact remains, right now, Russia has more than 150,000 troops encircling Ukraine and Belarus and along Ukraine's border. An invasion remains distinctly possible.
And Jade, where to from here in terms of the diplomatic efforts to resolve this?
Well, Joe Biden insists that while there is hope of a diplomatic solution here, that the US will pursue it. Russia has certainly shown some signs over the past couple of days of being open to further discussions with Western leaders. We've seen that Vladimir Putin has met the German Chancellor in Moscow, and there was also another conversation today between the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The US summary of that phone call says that Antony Blinken re-emphasised America's commitment to finding a diplomatic path forward, and that he also emphasised America's support for Ukraine. So it looks as though those talks between leaders will continue. We're still very much in an uncertain situation here, though.
OK, Jade McMillan there in Washington.